Former acting attorney general under President Trump, Matt Whitaker. Good to see you today. Let's talk about what's going on. Now, we know that this is behind closed doors with Ambassador William Taylor. However, we saw a Democrat from Michigan giving his characterization that his testimony by Taylor was the most disturbing day in his time on Capitol Hill. Could this hurt the president?
Well, I think in this situation where we have a member of Congress coming out and characterizing testimony, but not saying what the testimony is, and the American people have no visibility, and it sounds like member of Congress can't even get a transcript. I think this whole process is concerning and against really what everything that this country stands for. Accountability, transparency, those types of basic tenets, due process. The Democrats and Speaker Pelosi say that this is a constitutional proceeding, and to me it looks like just the opposite. It looks like a unprecedented attack by the Democrats on a Republican president.
You know, it's interesting to me, Matt, when you talk about, and my question was, could anything that William Taylor would say behind closed doors hurt the president? We don't know. But what you just said was that Republicans don't know either because they can't get the transcripts?
Yeah, correct. I mean, obviously, in the deposition, there are Republican members of Congress that are part of the Intel Committee, but the rank and file Republicans who are going to have to vote on this ultimately, if there's even an official impeachment inquiry, are going to have very little information. And this is one of the things that I think this conspiracy between the Democrats on the Intelligence Committee and the Washington Post and the New York Times to sort of tell this story without the American people actually having the evidence is very concerning. And again, when the shoe's on the other foot, we should expect this to be the future of our country if this is really the way Democrats want to proceed.
Yeah, you saw the president tweeting about that today, and actually the tweet, the word lynching getting more response or heat, if you will, than anything in the tweet in terms of him being sought after inappropriately as he's talking about Democrats. What do you say about that?
Well, what I say is the tweet says that Democrats should rue the day that the shoe is on the other foot, like I just said. And what's going to happen is without an official impeachment inquiry vote, and they haven't done that yet, we are going to now see sort of impeachment inquiries by edict of the Speaker of the House, whoever's in power, against the other party's president. And this is a concerning moment in American history, and I sure hope the House can get this back on track and actually take that vote to launch an official impeachment inquiry.
One more question on it. Do you think that that gets lost in translation? And you can see it at the bottom of our screen by a word that the president uses in a tweet.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does. Obviously, the history of our country as it relates to lynching, especially post-Civil War, is a very dark and troubling time in America's history. And I just can't, sort of characterize what the House is doing in a purely partisan attack in that way.
All right, we'll move on. Meanwhile, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is warning intelligence officials in a letter that President Trump may reveal the identity of the whistleblower while demanding to know how they plan to protect that person. So, Matt Whitaker, talk to me about whistleblowers' protection and going forward if that becomes public, this person's name.
Right. So whistleblowers are protected by statute from retaliation for their job. So this whistleblower obviously can't be demoted or fired or otherwise penalized for that. But there is no promise of anonymity. And by keeping this whistleblower anonymous, I think it really takes away a lot of the transparency that we would expect, because typically you have a witness and you know what baggage that witness carries, whether it's partisan baggage, whether it's work performance or criminal baggage. And in this case, we have a very generic whistleblower who doesn't have to account for who they are. And I think that's concerning, and there's no promise of anonymity, and I don't think there should be in this case.
All right, we will continue to follow it. Ambassador Will Taylor, today in behind the scenes, and you've given us some good information about what we should be looking for in terms of fairness going forward with information. Thank you, Matt Whitaker. Good to see you today.
Thanks, Harris. Good to see you.